Inside the tunnel, the cameraman locks up, straight shook as a swarm of ants come at him full force, while a massive ant king towers up ahead. He drops his head, mind racing, thinking about his pops, regretting that the last thing he ever said to him was just some weak-ass question about food. If he knew what was coming, he would have said more, done more. The ants close in, and he just shuts his eyes, ready to clock out. But then, a blade cuts through the ants about to maul him. A shadow soldier steps in, looking mean as hell. Back at the broadcast station, the head honcho is sweating bullets, watching their top-tier hunters get folded like cheap chairs. He can't wrap his head around the fact that one damn ant is bodying everyone. A staff member scrambles up, yelling that the phone lines are blowing up, viewers losing their minds, the network on the verge of crashing. The supervisor, face like he's seen a ghost, just mutters that this might be the end. Then somebody shouts, "There's movement at the scene." The head snaps to the screen, eyes wide, and what he sees leaves him frozen. Jinwoo just pulled up, his aura thick, his shadows rolling in behind him, every one of them oozing power. Jinwoo calls out to Iron, signaling him before activating Shout of Provocation. His roar shakes the tunnel, pulling every ant's attention straight to him. He gives Iron a nod, then pulls out the Demon King's daggers, the same ones he snatched after wrecking Baron in the Demon Castle. These blades ain't just sharp, they push his strength to another level. Jinwoo doesn't waste a second. He moves fast, cutting down ants left and right while Tusk locks down the injured S-rank hunters with a magic shield. Ma Dongwook watches, lost, trying to make sense of what's happening. Baek Yunho, still and focused, just tells him they're in good hands. An ant lunges, but before it even gets close, Igris grips it up and smashes it straight into the ground like it was nothing. Igris moves like a damn ghost, blade cutting through two more ants like they ain't even there. Tank chomps down on another, crushing its body in one bite, while Iron swings like a wrecking ball, smashing everything in his way. Jinwoo watches the battlefield, eyes sharp, seeing most of the ants already wiped out. Time to crank things up. With a simple flex of power, the dead ants start twitching, then rise, their bodies shifting into dark forms. Shadow soldiers. The cameraman just stands there, brain short-circuiting as he watches ants they just killed flip sides and start wrecking their own. Over at the broadcast station, everything is going to hell. The phone lines won't stop blowing up, and the whole country's got eyes glued to the screen. People shout over each other, trying to figure out what the hell is happening, but the cameraman's too busy losing his mind to answer. Jinwoo strides over to the downed S-rank hunters, pulls out a bottle, and hands it over. No explanations, no time for that. They drink, and like magic, their wounds patch up, their strength snapping back into place. Ma Dongwook watches, but his attention locks on Cha Hai-in, still lying there, barely holding on. Jinwoo's expression darkens. Her injuries are way worse than the others. Even with his skills, she's fading fast. He doesn't waste another second. They need to bounce before more of these oversized bugs show up. Ma Dongwook nods, ready to move, but then Jinwoo feels it. The ant from earlier steps back into view, its presence thick, suffocating. That ain't just any ant, that's him, the real monster, the one that had the S-rank hunters on their knees. Baek Yunho stiffens, recognizing the sheer force rolling off the creature, mind racing, wondering if it already dealt with Goto Ryuji. Ma Dongwook curses under his breath, fists clenching as the towering ant closes in. Jinwoo keeps his cool, eyes locked on the beast. So this is why Goto Ryuji's shadow never showed up. The air between them crackles, their energies slamming into each other like storm fronts colliding. The ant moves closer, voice low, ominous, calling Jinwoo something strange. Jinwoo doesn't blink, doesn't react, just stands there, aura flaring, the battlefield holding its breath. Jinwoo stands face to face with the Ant King, locking eyes with it like a predator sizing up its prey. Deep inside, he can still feel traces of Goto Ryuji's power lingering in his body. The Ant King isn't stupid. It senses the danger standing in front of it. Without warning, the beast lets out a thunderous roar, shaking the entire battlefield. But Jinwoo? He doesn't even blink. He just stands there, calm as ever, smirking like he's watching a comedy show. To him, the Ant King is finally behaving like the oversized bug it is. 5 minutes earlier in Seoul, the sky is dumping rain like there's no tomorrow. A phone screen flashes a message, raid broadcast unavailable. Hunters Juhee and Chi-yul stare at it, unease creeping up their spines. Chi-yul wonders what the hell happened inside, while Juhee questions what kind of nightmare they were actually dealing with. Elsewhere, hunters watching the broadcast are just as shaken. One tries to wrap his head around what's happening, while another is straight up speechless. The sudden blackout leaves everyone frozen, their guts twisting with dread. Then, the hammer drops. Hunter Byung-gyu is confirmed dead. On the main island, hunters react like they just got punched in the gut. The report continues, confirming that many hunters are still trapped in the tunnels, their fate hanging by a thread. Meanwhile, The Vice Guild Master of the Fame Guild and the White Tiger Guild members are glued to the screen, their faces stiff with worry. Then, a shocking update flashes. An unknown hunter has appeared at the raid site. The broadcast kicks back in, and when the White Tiger Guild members see who it is, their jaws hit the damn floor. Their minds refuse to process what's right in front of them. Across the sea in Japan, a man listens to a recording of Goto Ryuji's last moments. Goto's voice is calm but firm as he acknowledges the terrifying presence of the Ant King. The creature asks if he is the king, and without hesitation, Goto declares himself as one. Sugimoto, standing nearby, doesn't even turn as he mutters that this was the last time anyone heard from Goto Ryuji. The man listening is Matsumoto Shigeo, chairman of the Japanese Hunters Association. His cigarette hangs between his teeth as the weight of the revelation sinks in. Sugimoto, still facing away, calls out while staring at the radar screen. The powerful ant has returned to the Queen's chamber. Matsumoto, his nerves on edge, demands to know if the South Korean team is still breathing. Sugimoto confirms, but there's something else. Another powerful mana signature is in the mix. Matsumoto's eyes narrow. Without missing a beat, he orders the TV to be turned on. He needs to see the South Korean press coverage for himself. Back at Jinwoo's house, Gina hears a strange noise, like something being hit over and over. Her gut tells her something isn't right. Gina looks at her mom, worried, and asks what's up. Her mom sighs, says sorry, and explains that the TV just cut out all of a sudden. Then she asks about Jinwoo, since he said he was heading somewhere but wouldn't be long. Gina doesn't waste a second and bolts to her room. Their mom just shakes her head, mumbling about how both of them are all over the place today. Inside her room, Gina grabs her phone and freezes the second she sees what's on the screen. Cut to Chairman Go. Dude's so hyped watching the live broadcast that he straight up snaps the armrest off his chair. He shouts that the hunter on screen is Sung Jinwoo. A doctor next to him tells him to chill. Back in the tunnels, Jinwoo and the Ant King are locked in a stare down. Tension thick in the air. The Ant King throws a punch straight at Jinwoo's face, and the impact wrecks the ground beneath them, sending chunks of rock flying. The shockwave hits Jong-in and Baek Yoonho, leaving them both stunned. Jong-in mutters that a mage has no business fighting up close, while Baek Yoonho figures Jinwoo might have miscalculated and is now taking the hit. As the dust settles, the ant sneers at Jinwoo, calling him weak and saying he's no king. But before it can finish, its words die in its throat. Jinwoo's still standing, unfazed like nothing even happened. Jong-in and Baek Yoonho can't believe their eyes. Jinwoo casually spits out some blood, his eyes locked on the ant with a fire burning in them. Then he activates his skill, Commander's Touch. A dark, crushing aura floods the tunnel, and the ant, caught off guard, stumbles back, dropping to its knees from the sheer pressure. Jinwoo doesn't waste a second. He slams a punch straight into the ant's head. The impact launches it into the tunnel wall, the crash sending shockwaves everywhere. The hunters watching are speechless. Ma Dongwook, his voice shaking, asks Baek Yoonho and Jong-in if they're seriously calling Jinwoo a mage. Baek Yoonho, still processing, admits he knew Jinwoo was strong, but this is a whole different level. The ant shakes off the hit, lets out a furious roar and charges again. Jinwoo eyes its tough exoskeleton, finding it annoying. He mutters his thoughts before activating Commander's Touch again. The ant swings, but Jinwoo casually blocks it with his arm, sending another shockwave through the air. Then he counters, slamming a punch into its torso. The ant retaliates with a punch aimed at his face, but Jinwoo smashes his fist into its head first, nearly cracking its armor apart. The battle keeps heating up, their raw power shaking the tunnel. Waves of mana crash through the space, so intense that even the cameraman, an A-rank hunter, struggles to stay on his feet. He mutters that just the pressure alone is too much. The ant's exoskeleton starts cracking from Jinwoo's relentless attacks. Panic flickers in its eyes as it struggles to process how Jinwoo is overpowering it. The fight reaches its climax. Jinwoo, surrounded by a dark, ominous glow, readies another hit. The ant, now drowning in confusion and fear, watches him, trying to grasp just what the hell he really is. Jinwoo and the ant go at it, both throwing punches at the same time. The impact sends them stumbling back, but the ant notices something that makes its stomach drop. Cracks forming on its exoskeleton. It can't wrap its head around how this is happening, but before it can think too much, Jinwoo rushes in and smashes it with another brutal punch, nearly knocking it off balance. The ant, not about to let that slide, whips out its hidden weapon, a nasty-looking tail shooting straight from its mouth. It slams into Jinwoo, sending him skidding back. The second it hits, Jinwoo clocks something's off. Poison, and not just any poison. This is the kind of toxin that comes from a cone snail, one of the deadliest things in nature. Mixed with the ant's mana, this stuff is pure death. The ant sees Jinwoo pause and gets cocky, throwing out some smug words before declaring that this is it. Jinwoo's done for. It launches a lightning-fast attack aimed right at his head. Meanwhile, outside the tunnel, Minoru sits hunched over, looking like he's about to break. Tawada watches him, then tells him she got a call from Sugimoto. She wants to know what the hell happened. Minoru's voice shakes as he spits out the words. They can't win. There's no chance. His face is twisted with fear as he insists that what they're dealing with isn't just some monster, it's the monster. He goes on, saying not even the entire human race combined could take it down. And Goto Ryuji? He doesn't stand a damn chance either. Tawata's patience snaps. She grabs Minoru by the collar, yanking him up, demanding to know if he's lost his mind. Minoru just repeats himself, saying nobody can stop the Ant King. Disgusted, Tawada shoves him aside, calling him pathetic, then mutters under her breath that this isn't even the worst of it. The real nightmare is just getting started. Back in the tunnel, Jinwoo catches the ant's arm mid-attack. The ant freezes, its brain short-circuiting. Jinwoo should be paralyzed by now. But before it can process what's happening, Jinwoo buries his fist in its face, sending it flying straight into the tunnel wall. Then, a notification pops up in Jinwoo's system. Poison successfully removed. He barely registers it because something about the ant feels off. It almost seemed happy for a moment, like it actually thought it had won. But as Jinwoo's senses sharpen even further, he picks up something else. A shift. The ant's confidence is crumbling, fear creeping in. At the same time, he senses growing anxiety from his own team, especially as Cha Hyen starts to weaken. He knows he has to wrap this up. Jinwoo launches into the air, aiming a devastating kick at the ant. The ground below shatters from the sheer force, but the ant moves at the last second, dodging the attack before vanishing completely. The hunters watching can't believe their eyes. 1 second, the ant's there. The next, gone. Jinwoo's eyes dart around until he finally looks up. There it is, hovering above him, cool as ever. The ant realizes brute force won't cut it. Jinwoo is immune to poison, and overpowering him is a dead end. Its body starts shrinking, compacting itself, focusing all its energy into speed. Strength might be Jinwoo's best weapon, but the ant is speed. Its form tightens further, and with a deadly glint in its eyes, it lets Jinwoo know playtime is over. Jinwoo stands his ground, daggers in hand, eyes locked on the ant, waiting for its next move. No wasted motion, just pure focus. The ant lunges, fast as hell, but Jinwoo sidesteps like it's nothing and counters with a slash straight to its face. The exoskeleton stops it from cutting deep, but he doesn't let up. He swings again, but the ant catches it with its claws and shoves him back. Jinwoo rolls with it, plants his feet against the tunnel wall, and uses the momentum to rocket straight back at the ant. What follows is a blur. Punches, slashes, dodges, all happening so fast they might as well be teleporting. The ant notices something that makes its stomach drop. Jinwoo isn't just keeping up, he's faster. The realization creeps in. The ant is one of the strongest things out here, but Jinwoo is different. He took down the Demon King, leveled up, got new weapons, and now, after tearing into this thing's armor, he has what it takes to end this. He sees the cracks forming across the ant's shell and goes in hard, slashes raining down one after another, each one hitting so damn hard the ant barely holds itself together. It tries to recover, but Jinwoo feels it. This is his shot. He activates his critical attack, striking from every angle, carving the ant up. Then, out of nowhere, the system hits him with a notification. Critical attack maxed out. New skill unlocked. Mutilate. That stops him for a second. Didn't expect that. But the ant sees its chance, bolts into the air, trying to put some distance between them. Jinwoo doesn't let it get far. Eyes locked on, he calls out, and then, boom, Mutilate activates. Next thing anyone sees is a storm of slashes. Every strike lands clean, ripping through the ant like it's made of paper. It doesn't even get a chance to react before Jinwoo lands the final cut, slicing through its hand, making it scream in agony. The ant staggers back, staring at Jinwoo, mind racing. No speed advantage, no strength advantage, no poison advantage. It refuses to believe it. Then, with a deafening roar, it calls out to its army. The whole swarm responds, flooding toward Jinwoo like a black wave. The ant, now full of itself again, points straight at him, talking big like it just flipped the whole fight. Jinwoo doesn't even flinch, just smirks. And that's when the real nightmare begins. One by one, shadows rise from the ground, his army appearing with his generals at the lead. The swarm rushes in, but now it's not just Jinwoo anymore. Jinwoo's shadow army tears through the battlefield, and the fight takes a sharp turn. The ants, once fearless and overwhelming, are now the ones scrambling for survival. Igris leads the charge, swinging his sword in a clean arc that sends an ant's head flying. An orc guard splits another ant in two, while a second orc smashes its fist straight through a third. Jinwoo calls for more shadows to join the slaughter. Tusk emerges from behind him, eyes glowing with power. Before Tusk makes a move, Jinwoo gives him a final warning. Only the ants are fair game. If a single human gets caught in the attack, Tusk will never be summoned again. Tusk nods without hesitation, then activates the Helm of Giants. Energy crackles around him before he unleashes a massive fireball. The explosion swallows dozens of ants instantly, a searing blast ripping through the tunnel like a laser. Taegyu and Ma Dongwook stand frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. Taegyu struggles to process what he's seeing, while Ma Dongwook mutters that this thing Jinwoo summoned isn't a beast, it's a devil that walks straight onto the battlefield. As the flames rage, the Ant King stares, mind spinning. None of this makes sense. It has always been the strongest, the apex predator. Memories rush through its head, enemies crushed, prey devoured, an endless climb to the top. There was never a challenge, never a limit. It saw itself as a king. But now, standing in front of this nightmare, watching Jinwoo stroll through the fire with glowing, merciless eyes, something inside it snaps. Panic. For the first time in its life, the Ant King feels fear. A sudden green glow surrounds it, and Jinwoo recognizes Byung-gyu's healing ability. The truth clicks. This monster doesn't just kill its enemies, it devours their power. Without a second thought, the Ant King turns and bolts, instinct screaming at it to run. Jinwoo doesn't let it. He lifts a hand, and a massive shadowy force takes shape above the fleeing insect. With a simple motion, the commander's touch slams down, flattening the Ant King into the dirt. The impact leaves it stunned, legs twitching, body trembling. The Ant King claws at the ground, desperate to crawl away, but Jinwoo isn't done. With a single leap, he lands on top of it, standing above his prey as it writhes, trapped and powerless. Jinwoo unleashes critical chain, his blades tearing through the enemy like a damn storm of death. The Ant King doesn't even get a chance to react before his body is shredded apart, and then a system notification flashes. That bastard is dead. Power surges through Jinwoo's body, the rush of leveling up twice hitting him like a drug. Before he can even process it, Baek Yoonho's voice cuts through the air, sharp and urgent. He's shouting about Cha Hai-in. Jinwoo's head snaps toward her, and his chest tightens. She looks bad. Way too much time has passed since the fight started. Her breathing is weak, her skin pale as hell. If he doesn't act fast, she's gone. He needs a healer, now. But his shadow exchange is on cooldown, and he's never tried teleporting with someone else before. His best bet is flying out with Kaisel, but even then, Cha Hai-in might not make it. Every second counts. Maybe, just maybe, there's still a healer alive in the Blade Guild. His mind races, but no answer feels fast enough. He refuses to let her die. There has to be another way. Then, it hits him. Without hesitation, Jinwoo turns to the cameraman, his voice cold and firm. The man hesitates, confused by the sudden command. But Jinwoo doesn't have time for explanations. He repeats himself, warning the man to shut off the damn camera or watch it get smashed into pieces. The cameraman, now nervous as hell, fumbles with his gear and does as he's told. With that out of the way, Jinwoo orders his shadows to find Byung-gyu's body. Baek Yoonho stiffens, his eyes widening as he realizes what Jinwoo is about to do. The orc guards move fast, and within moments, one of them carries back the broken corpse. The sight isn't pretty. The ant had gone to town on it, tearing through flesh like a wild beast. Jinwoo stares at the mess, gripping his fists as he wonders if his plan will even work. Baek Yoonho, still in shock, asks what the hell Jinwoo is trying to pull. Before Jinwoo can answer, a system notification pops up. Shadow extraction is available for Byung-gyu's body. A wave of relief washes over him. This is it. This is the only way. He speaks the command, and black shadows pour over the corpse like ink spreading across water. Then, a message appears saying that extraction has failed. Jinwoo grits his teeth. That can't be right. He tries again. Same result. His frustration boils over, but he forces himself to think. His current level should be more than enough for a simple extraction like this. Then, the realization dawns on him. Byung-gyu is rejecting the process. Even in death, the man refuses to become a shadow. Jinwoo knows why. The guy must see it as some kind of twisted violation, a mockery of human dignity. Iron watches the struggle with confusion, but Jinwoo doesn't care. There's still a life to save, and he's not giving up. He turns back to Cha Hai-in. His mind is set. He's getting this done, one way or another. Taking a deep breath, he calls out the command one final time, pouring every ounce of will into it. Shadows surge again, and this time, they don't stop. Baek Yoonho grips Jinwoo's shoulder, his fingers digging in as disbelief washes over him. In front of them, the darkness solidifies, forming into a familiar shape. A hand emerges from the shadows, followed by a body rising from the ground. Byung-gyu, no longer human, stands tall beside Jinwoo, his presence now an eerie force of unnatural power.